Well, good afternoon, Lauren. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm great. No, thank you so much for making the time to come on. How are you recovering from your Leadville 100 run at this point?
I'm doing pretty good. I feel pretty much back to normal except my left foot. It's giving me some pain,
Oh,
but
yeah.
hopefully that goes away soon.
Really? Did you screw it up in the race, or was that bothering you before, or just whatever?
It wasn't really bothering me like before the race, but I would say around mile 30 in Leadville, the top of my foot just started hurting a lot. And that was like my biggest problem, I would say.
Oh, that's a weird one.
So, yeah, not
And,
quite sure how that happened, but
yeah, and you're still feeling it now, though, huh?
yeah. So,
Huh.
probably a bone issue, I'm assuming, but
Well,
never know.
that's never good if it's a bone issue.
Yeah.
I was hoping maybe it was just, oh, you tied your shoelaces too tight or something.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Well, I hope that doesn't act up on you.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Yeah. Have you run since the race?
I have not.
All right.
No,
Well, we
I'm waiting for the foot thing to calm down a little bit and then I'll
uh,
start running again.
okay. Well,
Yeah.
very cool. All right. So, has it sunk in yet? You finished the Leadville 100, and I mean you crushed it. That I mean you had an awesome time there. I mean not only just for a first timer, but for an 18-year-old. I mean, like I say, has that all sunk in?
Uh, yeah, but I don't know. I guess it doesn't feel like as big of an accomplishment as it was quite yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But I mean, I'll look back on it in like a year and then I'll like, whoa, how did I do that? But yeah, right now it's not super. Yeah, it hasn't really sunk in all the way, I guess.
I somehow want to reach through this phone line and smack you for saying it's not that big. You realize how many people like train and train and train and for whatever reason don't finish, whether things don't go right
Yeah.
that day or whatever happens. I mean, um yeah, it's a huge accomplishment, young lady.
Yeah.
So I mean, congratulations. Like I say, it's very cool.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
I'm super proud of myself and happy with how it went. So
Yeah, well, good. So that is a good question you lead into, is like, how did that happen? I mean, what did it take for you to get to the starting line first of all, and then of course get through the next 28 hours and change to the finish line?
yeah. I I kind of signed up for Leadville on a whim. Um, I joined the running club at my school, and I just started telling people, I was like, yeah, I really want to do Leadville. And then I was thinking into the logistics of it. Um, and I realized that this summer is pretty much the only time in the near future that I would logistically be able to do it. Um, and so I signed up for the lottery and I was like, well, I'm probably not going to get in, whatever. And then I got in. I was like, oh
Oh, crap.
crap. I gotta start working for this. And unfortunately I was dealing with a hip injury for a while. So majority of my base training was swimming and on the bike. I did a ton of biking at the school rec center, which was not fun, but it
No,
got done.
right.
Um, and then I moved up to Winter Park for the summer and I started running then. So I pretty much started training in July, June. June is when I started running. Um,
Okay, this
and
is
so
ridiculous. You started running two
yeah,
months before the race.
yeah, I did not think it was gonna happen. I mean, look on my Strava on the trend line, it was like nothing, and then just like this massive jump.
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah. I don't know how my body survived, but it did. So
On so many levels. I mean, obviously aerobically, I mean, yeah, it probably helped you were living at Winter Park there at some elevation,
yeah,
but regardless, that's just insane to start running 2 months before, Lauren. I mean,
I know.
holy
Yeah.
cow.
Yeah, I did not think I was going to be able to do it. Just based off of that alone. I hadn't been running for that long. And so I was like, well, I'm probably not going to finish, but I might as well just try. And then I think honestly, like at that first Twin Lakes outbound aid station is when I realized I was like, okay, like I'm actually going to do this. I'm going to finish this race, which
And
was
usually
a
it
cool feeling.
doesn't kick in for most people until they get to Twin Lakes inbound, because between Twin Lakes outbound and inbound, obviously you've got this little hump there called Hope Pass.
Just a little hump, yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and you know what really floored me, I looked at your splits on Athlinks there, and you were super consistent. But what really got me is from Hope Pass down. Well, basically, on your return trip from Winfield, you,
Hmm.
I mean, you were actually um, like 1612 going up Hope Pass and 1641, this is per mile, down to Twin Lakes, down. I mean, I don't know if maybe something was inaccurate there, but how on earth were you going faster going up Hope Pass on the way back than going down? How does that happen?
um Hills are kind of like my strong suit. I love hills, up hills, not down hills. I hate going downhill.
Okay.
Um, and I don't know, I was just on my way up Hope Pass. I felt great. I was like, this is what I can do. And I'd been taking it pretty easy beforehand. At that first Twin Lakes aid station, I remember my mom was like, you look like you just ran like 6 miles, not 40 or whatever.
Yeah.
And I saw people all around me like struggling a lot more than I was. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to push up Hope Pass and gain some time. And I did, which was awesome. Unfortunately, I did not eat enough on that ascent.
Mm,
So
yeah.
I had some really bad stomach issues going back from Winfield. So that was my downfall right there.
Downfall on the downhill, I guess, because
Yeah.
you still, I mean, like I say, there's an impressive pace going up Hope from Winfield. So I don't know when
Yeah.
stomach issues kicked in, but you were doing pretty well through then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I also
Yeah.
noticed, you talked about that the first stretch out to May Queen, you were 742nd out of 826. So you were the back of the pack there. So
Oh
you
yeah.
really did take it very, very chill going out there. I mean, you got out there in 2 hours and 46 minutes. So
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, it was funny. I was looking at the boys, 18 to 19-year-old runners, and
Yeah.
they weren't different than some of the people out there who run that first stretch, which is about a half marathon, like it's a half marathon race. You-
Yeah.
I mean, Alden ran, the boys winner, who's another 18-year-old ran like 10 something as his average pace to get out
Oh
there.
wow.
Okay, that's
Yeah, that's
kind of nuts.
crazy.
Yeah. And so, but yours was, like I say, yours were 13, 14, I think I'm reading here, was your pace going.
Yeah.
Little more reasonable.
Yeah, I was trying to keep the pace and the effort pretty consistent the whole way. Um, I was looking at my heart rate a lot. I was trying to keep my heart rate below 140 for most of the race.
Okay.
So that's kind of how I paced myself.
No
It
easy
worked out
feat.
pretty well.
Yeah.
So
That's, I mean, for anybody else who maybe is thinking about how to race that's an interesting, way to look at it. And,
yeah.
I mean, not easy to do either. So, where did you come up with that idea to keep it under 140?
I don't know. I I knew that I wanted my effort on like uphills and downhills to be similar. Um, I forget where I heard that from, but some ultra marathoner, like that's what they do is they want to keep their uphill and their downhill effort consistent. And so I figured the best way to do that would be heart rate. Um, And then I didn't want it to be hard. And so like for me, running starts getting hard when I get above 150 or 160. And so I figured keeping it below 140 would be a very easy uh, pace that I can hold for a very long time. And it worked out. So happy about that.
Yeah. So where do you base that idea that you could keep your heart rate under 140 for a very long time? I mean, you don't have a whole lot of ultra marathoning experience, so where did you come up with the idea that that would work for you?
I don't know. I've watched YouTube videos, I've read a lot of books. I use heart rate training pretty often in my like back in high school when I ran or in college now when I'm running. I run based off of heart rate a lot. And
Yeah.
so I guess it just seemed like a natural thing to do, but
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure why I figured I could hold it for that long. But
Okay. All right. I'm going to return to that idea here in a little bit, but let's continue talking about your Leadville race. So,
mhm.
I mean, had you been on much of the course before?
I had run Hope Pass both sides before. But that was the only part of the race that I'd run. And so I'm very glad that I did that because I don't think I would have been prepared for how insanely steep and brutal it is beforehand if I didn't run that part
Yeah.
previous to the race.
Yep. Okay. Makes sense. Did you use
Yeah.
trekking poles, by the way?
For the race I did just on that section, but during my training run I did not.
So that was your first time using trekking poles.
I used them in a 30K that I did. And it was actually after I did that Hope Pass training run that I said, I should probably get some trekking poles. That might
Yeah.
be helpful.
Right. Well, back in the old days when I used to, when I first ran the race, nobody used poles. So yeah, we just didn't.
Yeah.
It was funny. The first time I ever used poles, well, I should say the second time was when I ran Leadville in 2019. I'd practiced with them
Hmm.
one time before over on Mount Falcon, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've run there.
Yeah, and that was my one time ever practicing with them before, and then I go and just did it, used it in the race. It was pretty ridiculous, but oh well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a hard tool to train with, I feel like. I just don't like them. So I didn't want to train with them.
All right.
But
Fair enough. But then you used them in the race anyway.
yeah, which I'm glad I did.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
were a little annoying at some times, but
Yeah, they can
I
be.
think they paid off. Yeah.
Well, you want to hear a story? And actually, I take it back. It was 2015 when I was using them. So, I was so new to them that I didn't know how to collapse them.
Yeah.
So when we got over Hope Pass, and well, first of all, I was going up Hope Pass. They kept coming apart on me because I didn't know how to lock them in place. And so
Yeah.
they kept coming apart. And my pacer, for whatever reason, had a roll of tape in his pack. And so he literally taped, the joints on there so that
Yeah.
it would stay because I was getting so frustrating because they would keep the poles would keep coming apart on me as I was going
Yeah.
fast. So he taped them so then they were permanently like that the rest of the race. I couldn't collapse them again.
Yeah.
Wasn't until I got home and then I read the directions that I found out, oh, that's how you lock them in place. And oh, that's how you break them down again. So
Yeah.
here's another lesson in being prepared, using,
Yeah.
trying what you're going to use in a race in practice first or use them right.
Yep.
Yeah, that was an amazingly stupid move on my part.
Yeah, that would be hard to use them without being locked in.
Oh yeah, they're pretty useless. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, great. So what did you think of the whole course and everything there? So you were new to it, and kind of the whole atmosphere, and how the race was progressing for you.
It was a lot of fun. I part of me wishes there was more single track, because I felt like there was a lot of dirt road, but also part of me is very happy that there was a lot of dirt road because the way back in the night, I didn't want to be tripping on roots and stuff.
Sure.
Because I was pretty out of it. Like my depth perception was terrible. So probably would have fallen a couple times if there was anything worse
Right.
on the course. And then the vibe was great. It was a very supportive community, and nothing like I've ever seen before. I mean, on the course, you've got people sitting outside of their houses cheering you on, and it's really cool to be there and experience that.
Oh yeah, for sure. What did you think of Twin Lakes?
I liked Twin Lakes. It was cool. I was I was just trying to get in and out of those aid stations as quickly as possible, so I didn't really take it in. Um, but I mean, that's a beautiful place, and the vibes there were crazy. It was fun running through there and seeing the posters and what people had going on. So,
Yeah, no, that's insane. And it's really just become a thing in the recent last decade or so. I mean, for a while,
mhm,
it used to be you could pick up your pacer out in Winfield. And so when they stopped having pacers out there, pretty much, everybody, all the crews and everybody are in Twin Lakes. And so
mhm.
I understand people were even setting up tents on Friday, even though they weren't supposed to. It's just become such a scene there. It's insane. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy, but it was cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad I could find my crew when I went there because there was so much going on.
Yeah. That's always an issue out there. Who was your crew, by the way?
My family. I had my mom and my dad, and then two of my uncles and my aunt.
All right. And were they pacers for you as well?
Yes, my dad and my uncles paced me for those last portions.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah,
So is that where you get your running chops from your family, or you're not
actually,
out there? No.
no. I feel like all of my family kind of started running after I started running. Um, my mom did a couple marathon. No, she did one marathon when she was younger, but she had a lot of knee issues, had to get surgery, so she hasn't run for the past 20 years or so. Um, and then my dad, he mountain bikes a lot, but he really doesn't run. He actually didn't run at all coming into Leadville. And he was like, "Yeah, I can pace you for that last half marathon." I was like,
Sure.
"Okay, yeah, sure."
Did you leave him in the dust? I mean, or could he keep up
I
with
eventually did, yeah.
you? Oh well.
It was once we got onto that final dirt road, um, that went into Leadville.
Oh, up the
I just
part
gave
there.
him
Yeah.
all my stuff, and I was like, "You take this. I'm gonna keep going."
Right.
Um, and he came back into Leadville, and he told me a story of how like he was just a pacer running by himself, and everyone was making fun of him,
Right. I guess that is
which
kind of
is,
humiliating, isn't it?
but it's funny.
Oh
So
man.
that was
But he wasn't
cool.
he wasn't carrying your stuff in the first place?
No, he had like a camelback on, and
Yeah.
he filled that with like brought a Red Bull for me. He brought first aid stuff, and he had his own pack, and I was still carrying mine. But I didn't have any issues with my pack, except for when I was not in my mind and I couldn't find where any of my food was. I just kept pulling things out and it was wrong. That was frustrating. That one got me a little bit,
Well, I'm sure.
but
But I mean, yeah, you can have your Pacer Mule for you at Leadville. So I mean, I'm always very
yeah.
happy to like, hey, you carry 2 packs. I don't care.
Yeah. I didn't feel like I needed it at that point.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
but
Speaking of fueling, what were you using out there? What was successful for you?
um I think the best thing I did was I used the Scratch Labs like super high carb mix or whatever. So for one bottle, that's 400 calories. Um, it's like 100 grams of carbs. And so that was super helpful because you just drink it.
Right.
You don't have to actually eat anything. Um, so that was what carried me, I would say. But I also used What else did I use? Totally forgetting now. Goldfish,
Okay.
uh, a lot of Red Bull, a
We,
lot of fruit snacks. Fruit
okay.
snacks were great. Um, and then I made like rice cakes that I'd used in training runs before, and they're great in my training runs. However, they did not work out so well at Leadville. Every time I ate one, I felt like I was going to throw up.
Isn't that
So
funny how that works?
I know it's terrible, but now I know if I ever do something like this again.
Right, right. If so, you're not going to?
As of right now, I've got nothing on the radar, but
Okay.
it'll, I know it'll happen again. I'll do something
All right.
similar, if not crazier, at some point. Um,
All right. Yeah. Well,
but
we'll get
just
back to
not,
that. All right.
yeah,
Okay.
not that I know of yet.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I've had issues with certain things that seem to work well in training, and then just you go right to hell. I mean, like tailwind. I mean, a lot of people swear by that, and
Yeah.
I've been in races where all of a sudden I just get to an aid station and I just tell them to like dump this out and fill it up with whatever you got here. And although if you read the fine print on a package of tailwind, most people don't see this. It actually says in there like, don't use this for more than 6 hours, which is
Oh,
weird.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, most people will use it for
Huh.
an entire race, and it's like, yeah, it's about when it starts becoming unpalatable to me too. So,
Yeah,
it,
definitely.
yeah. So, um, where were the where were the difficult points you had out there? I mean, you mentioned, there were times when some of your food didn't work for you, and I mean, did you have some particularly dark moments out there, or you just wanted to just say, screw this, or like your depth perception was off, or you were hallucinating cool things, or whatever?
Um, right after the Winfield aid station, I got out like a mile and I realized I forgot to use the bathroom.
Right?
And I really needed to use the bathroom. Um, and that is an area that is super exposed. Or it's not super exposed, but for a female, there's really no good spots for you to just go. And so that was really rough, and I was in a lot of pain. And eventually I just crawled into some trees and like tried to hide and
Uh,
go to the bathroom. And I remember some guy was like, "Are you okay? Like,
oh no.
stop, go away, stop
Yeah,
looking
really.
at me." Yeah.
Oh no.
um, so that was rough. A lot of my big issues were when I forgot to use the bathroom at an aid station. Same thing happened coming out of what was it, Outward Bound. I
Yeah.
forgot to use the aid station there or the bathroom there. And it was just terrible. I felt awful for like 5 miles. When I finally used the bathroom, and I felt like a whole new person. I felt great. So
Magic.
those
Yeah.
were rough spots. And then I would say mile 75 was like the hardest for me. I felt super emotional all of a sudden. I just wanted to cry and I felt so nauseous. I didn't want to eat anything. I thought I was going to throw up. Um, it's like every time I took a bite of food, I just had to wait 30 seconds with it in my mouth before like mustering up the energy to swallow it,
Yeah.
which was not fun. And then at that aid station at that was Outward Bound inbound. Um, I was there for probably 30 minutes while my crew like looked at my feet and got food and whatever. Um, and in those 30 minutes, I got so cold. I was shaking. I couldn't really talk. And it was terrible.
Were you
And so
were you in the aid station itself, or were you out like, where your crew was?
I was out with my crew at that
Okay. Because I was gonna
point.
say, because I was working in that aid station, and there was a nice little
Yeah.
heater right there. I mean, it was chilly out by that time.
Yeah. I stopped in the aid station as I was leaving to get some ramen. which was nice. That was very good.
I
Um,
vaguely remember you actually. Yeah.
yeah, I was all bundled up. I had like three coats on. I was like, I
Right.
don't care if I overheat. I'm so cold right now.
Right.
Um, and then started moving again and I warmed up, which was much needed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt pretty decent after that point, I would
Yeah.
say.
So the power line climb went pretty well for you then,
Yeah, I did. I like climbs. Those are my favorite parts of any race or anything, any
right?
hike or whatever. So I enjoyed that. What I was not looking forward to was the descent out of that, but it wasn't as bad as I remembered it being. So that was good.
Yeah, I mean, just the top there, it's pretty rocky, and but then
Yeah.
it's a pretty long section you can run until you get to kind of those like bouldery things alongside Turquoise Lake before you get down towards May Queen. But what did you think
Yeah.
of Space Camp up there?
That was fun. On my way, it's funny. I was going up power line. This was mile 20 or whatever, on the way out. And I was talking to a lady and she told me about it. And she's like, yeah, there's a space rave with naked people and you're not hallucinating. It's real. So I was expecting like something crazy. There were no naked people, which was great. I was very happy about that. Um,
But it just would
it
have
was
been a
cool.
hallucination anyway. So,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, but that was cool. It was nice.
yeah. So yeah, my first
Little
time going to
fun.
yeah, so I'd run the race many times, and in 2015, I'd had like a 5 year gap because of injuries, surgeries I'd had, um,
Hmm.
and that year, actually, I had ruptured my quad tendon. I was coaching at Littleton High School actually at the time, and
Okay.
I ruptured my quad tendon at practice one day, um, and I wasn't even supposed to start running until May. And so I actually did in January. It's pretty typical of me. And but
Yeah.
I wasn't in great shape. So when I came into Twin Lakes inbound, I was within 4 minutes of the cutoff.
Oh, wow.
I was within 4 minutes of the cutoff all the way back in. But I did finish. I was the last finisher of the race. I was the
Dang.
last ass that year.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're going up. We did the power line climb, and I've always been really proud of the fact I've never stopped once on power line going up. I can just
Yeah.
my way through, and I had no idea about Space Camp, and because it had never been there before, and so
Yeah.
we're going through there, and I said to my pacer, I said, "You wouldn't believe what I just hallucinated." I saw like glow sticks on the ground, and I was smelling weed, and Grateful Dead music was playing. And my pacer said, "No, no, no, that was for real." And I'm like, "What?" It's like, and if there was time, I would have said, "Let's go back," but we were so close to the cutoffs that it's like we just didn't have time to stop. But
Yeah.
oh, I would have liked to have actually like experienced that for a couple seconds. But yeah,
Yeah.
I thought I was hallucinating that.
No, definitely. I don't think I hallucinated anything. Kind of wish I did though.
It
This
can be
is
fun.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I've had some. In fact, I think in 2015, my crew was my Littleton High School team actually, and
Oh wow, that's cool.
they were all telling me afterward, like, Coach, it's really disappointing. You didn't have any hallucinations that, because I always told them about these hallucinations I had in the past. And like, sorry, I just didn't have any this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So,
Makes me want to do another one. So I can experience that.
yeah, there you go. So, so what was it like then coming up Sixth Street? I can't say that this time of the afternoon, towards the finish line there. How did that feel to you?
Um, I was really confused because as I was going up Sixth Street, there was there were no runners in front of me finishing.
Oh,
And so all I saw were people walking like towards me uh out of Leadville. And I was like, this doesn't feel right. At one point I asked a bystander, I was like that's the finish line, right? I'm going there. I was so confused. It did not feel like the finish line. But I just kept running and then I didn't know if I should run through the finish line or walk through the finish line.
right.
Um, So I was like, I don't know what to do. And so I just walked and I drew up some thumbs. And then I hugged my mom and I
The
cried a little
appropriate.
bit.
Yeah.
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 Um,
You by yourself? I mean, I know you'd already dropped your dad slash pacer there. So, I mean, was there anyone else
yeah.
coming in with you?
No, I was in a very like I was in a spot where there was nobody else near me for
Oh,
a
wow.
while,
That's pretty
which was
cool.
weird. Yeah. But at least there was nobody else in my finished photos. So I'll take
Yeah,
that.
there you go. Well, and hopefully you got some photos afterward with Ken and Mary Lee, right?
Yes, yeah.
That was the best
It's
photos right
cool.
there. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there was a video of Ken like putting the medal on and then that was I like that video. It's a good one.
I would cherish that forever.
Yeah.
I know you're a newbie, but Ken, of course, is an institution there, and uh,
Hmm.
he's the face. He and Mary Lee, so
Yeah.
just awesome people, and incredible motivators. So cherish that video for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, but yeah, how did you feel at that moment? I mean, was it relief or like celebration, or how are you feeling at that moment?
I was mainly just trying to tell myself like stop crying, don't cry. Um, honestly, like for those last 5 miles, that's all that was going through my head was like, don't cry, stop crying.
Right,
Um, and so I was focused on that. And then there was just so much going on that I didn't really have time to process anything um, for a while. And then this was like 2 days later. I was like, my mom had left the condo, so I was alone in Winter Park. And I was just like, oh my God, what? That was insane. Um,
right,
and yeah, that's when I think I processed it a little more.
right,
But I was mainly just feeling very proud, and surprised that I finished it because I did not think I could.
right. Well, you should be, but it is a testament to the fact that obviously you had your mental game going in a really good place. Even
Hmm.
though I've completed that race multiple times, every time I stand on the starting line there, I'm like, what am I thinking? I'm going to run 100 miles? That doesn't even compute. That does not make sense. You know?
Yeah, it no, it doesn't make sense. I remember that day before Leadville, the song I had stuck in my head was just "Crazy" by Gnarls Barkley because
Right.
I kept saying to myself like, "This is crazy. You're crazy." So that's the only song I could think of.
I guess it's appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's step back for just a second, Lauren. Basically, you ran high school cross country. You're running with a club out at college there. You're at Cal Poly
Yes.
St. Louis Obispo. So it's not like you're on the team out there or anything, and you didn't have, I mean, what kind of, you mentioned before a 30K you ran, but I mean, how much other experience had you had in doing, trail racing and, other events besides what typical scholastic kids go through?
Zero. I had zero experience with any sort of trail racing or ultra marathon racing. Um, it was funny. I was thinking about it at work the other day. And before Leadville, the longest race that I'd ever run was a 6K. And then
Really?
I raced Leadville. So
Wow.
quite a big difference there. But I mean, I'd done tons of training runs on trails before. I've been trail running for 3 or 4 years now, 3 years now, and that's what I love to do, and I
Yeah.
do it a lot. Um, and the longest I trained was that 30K or no, the 50K, 30 miler, which was rough, and my pace for that was slower than my Leadville pace, so that's cool. That I
That's
stepped it up.
bizarre. Right.
But then also last summer for my birthday, I ran a 50 mile or a double marathon on the Highline Canal.
which is pretty
So
much pancake flat.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Um, so not quite the same at all, but it did give me some insight into what I needed to work on, um, which was definitely helpful.
So for your 18th birthday, you went out and ran 52 miles roughly, and your family's probably like, Lauren, we'd like to go to dinner here. And you're like, well, oh, hold on, I'm running for, 10, 11, 12 hours, whatever. Is that what
Yeah,
happened basically?
basically, yeah, it was between 9 and 10 hours. And then I remember my mom, we went to King Soopers afterwards. My mom bought me Krispy Kreme donuts and I ate all of them, all dozen. It was great.
Well, I guess you earned it in a way.
Yeah.
Right.
Um, so that was fun. And then I just like crashed on the couch after that one, which was the exact same thing I did after Leadville. So
Well, yeah, understandable. You'd been up for
yeah.
quite a while without sleep,
Oh
but
my gosh. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I slept for 17 hours the night after Leadville.
Did you
It's great.
really?
Yeah.
Wow. The very first Leadville I finished, I made this really ridiculous decision to try to drive myself home.
Oh
I
gosh.
don't know what that, I mean, it was the stupidest thing. So I got barely outside of town and I said, this is ridiculous. I just ran 100 miles and now I'm going to kill myself behind the wheel. So I got out,
Yeah.
I did a walk around that lake that's over there off Highway 91. I thought, well, that'd wake me
Yeah.
up. Well, I got back in the car. That wasn't working. And I ended up pulling into a dirt parking lot outside of Frisco. And I woke up in my car 7 hours later. It was already dark by then. It was
Yeah.
oh my God. Boy, did I just what a stupid idea that was. So
Yeah.
wow. So
Yeah.
I mean, this is actually pretty crazy, Lauren, though. I mean, going back to your high school days, I mean, you ran cross country and track at Heritage High School, which is in
Yeah.
Littleton. Um,
Yes.
and I'm not trying to disparage you whatsoever, but it's not like you were a state champion.
No.
You know, no, I mean you were, pretty much you were a very good runner, but I mean, what I could see, you had a PR at Liberty Bell of 18:41, which was good for 27th. You finished 37th at the state meet.
Mhm.
It's not like anybody would have looked at that and said, "Oh yeah, she's going to go on here and go crush, you know, 100 miles, much less anything else." But um, I mean, yeah, you had some nice times out there, like 11:28 and 3,200, but certainly nothing that would portend you going out doing some like amazingly long distance things. And it's really rather amazing.
Yeah, I think for me, just the trail running kind of took over when I was in my junior year of high school. That's what I really loved to do. It's what I felt like I was really good at. And I was not a big fan of the like track cross country workouts and that whole vibe. Um and so I think the reason I'm doing so much better at trail running is it just like it that's what I care about and I really love doing it. Whereas with cross country and track, I did not really love it that much.
How come?
Um, I think for me, they were just very stressful. I always got really stressed out before meets. I never looked forward to running races.
Right.
Um, what I really loved was like the long runs and doing hill repeats and tempo work. And I hated sprinting and I hated track workouts.
Right.
Um, and I think I don't know, I prefer relaxing and having fun with it and not stressing myself out and beating myself up over how fast I'm going.
I think there's a tremendous amount of wisdom in that. I mean, you hear people all the time like, "Oh, I hate running," whatever. It's like my feelings always you probably were never put into right framework to actually enjoy it because most high school kids, as you know, they only know running around circles on a track, or running 5K at the most in cross country, and they maybe
Yeah.
haven't been exposed. That's why I brought my cross country team up there to be my crew, because I want them
Mhm.
to see something like that, to realize the possibilities, that there is so much more to running than just what they've already seen. So, not to
Yeah.
mention seeing people push themselves, and everybody's got a story up there, what they've overcome to get there. So I always think it's great to expose kids to that.
Yeah, and I mean, that's why I'm so grateful for where I live. I live in Ken Carroll. And so we've got that whole network of trails right outside of my door, which makes it super, super easy to trail run, and it made it easy for me to find that passion of mine. So I'm grateful for that for sure.
Oh yeah, without a doubt, there are a lot of great trails there. Personally, yeah, Deer Creek Canyon is one of my favorite places to run.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's very.
Yeah. And then my high school cross country coach too, he was not a trail runner, but he did go on trail runs every so often. He'd bring the team on trail runs, which those were always really fun.
Is that Coach
And
Runyon you're talking about?
yes,
Yeah,
yeah, Runyon.
I go way back with him.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like great guy. So that's very cool.
yeah, he's an amazing guy. And I don't think I would have ever found this passion for running if it weren't for him.
Uh,
So
that's that's what coaches are there for.
yeah,
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So, what advice would you give to other, high school, or maybe just post high school young people, in terms of getting into the sport?
honestly, like my big thing is slow down. Don't don't try to go fast. Walk, just go slow and take it in. Look at what's around you, and it'll be hard to not have a good time.
Right. I think females are probably better at that than males, because
Yeah.
males are driven by, ego or testosterone, whatever you want to call it.
Hmm.
And quite often when I get into races, I will find women to pace off of, because women will go a nice, steady pace. And it's really hard for me to do. It's like, we're always like, got to pass that guy, got to get around the corner. No, no, not now. I got to walk, whatever. So
Yeah,
yeah, women are, I think, are more metronomic, in terms of being able to just keep a nice, steady pace going. So
definitely. Yeah.
yeah.
I like running with women more than guys a lot of the time because I feel like guys tend to push the pace, and I just want to have fun, hang out,
Oh
not
yeah.
not kill myself running. So,
Yeah, I know in high school workouts, I rarely, rarely have to tell a girl to, like, oh, slow down here in practice. Whereas guys are out there beating each other up, and you always have to remind them that, like, save it for the meets. You don't need to kill each other here in practice.
exactly, yeah, not the time or place.
Yeah. Well, cool. So you've got several weeks before you head back to college. And
Yes.
so are you going to rejoin the running club there, or what are you thinking?
Yeah, that club is those are my friends. They're my main group that I hang out with. It's a great club. It's honestly like this is probably wrong, but in my opinion, it's like the best running club ever. Just the vibes are everyone's super nice and welcoming, and it's a great time. So I'll definitely be going back, but I don't know if I'll be running again, like meets, because that seems like a lot of work that I don't want to do right now.
Right. Well, now that you've seen, you can go run trail ultras and have a blast.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So you're majoring, as you told me before, in structural engineering. I would imagine that's
Yes.
pretty stressful. I would imagine running also is a terrific outlet for you.
It is. Yeah, it's great. And when I have to go through periods where I'm not running, I just get sad. I'm like, when can I run again?
Right.
Um, and so I'm super grateful that I can just after a long day go on a run. And especially San Luis Obispo, it's a very safe area. So
Right.
I don't have to worry about anything, which is really nice.
Yeah.
that I can do that.
Well, plus it's pretty scenic there, I would imagine. And
Yeah.
yep, no, I've been there. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous place. Are there good trails to run around there?
There are some very good trails. It's a great spot for trail running, mountain biking. Um, we've got a it's like an area of space. It's called Poly Canyon. And there are a ton of trails out there, which are super nice. Not too hard of a grade. And then we've also got some peaks like Madonna Mountain and Bishop. And those are more challenging for sure, but great trail run options that are less like a trailhead is less than a mile from the school.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
So you sound to me, Lauren, to be pretty analytical in the way you approached, running Leadville. And being a structural engineering candidate here, does that all play together somehow? I mean, the fact that, structural engineers, I would think, have to be pretty precise and methodical about how they go about their class work, their careers, things like that. Did it all play together for you somehow?
Yeah, I think the main thing is I I'm a planner. I plan things out like every day, what I'm gonna do, which seems crazy to some people, but that's how I'm the most efficient with what I do. And I don't think I could have efficiently trained for Leadville without doing that.
Right.
Um, but then also I mean, I'm a very hard worker and I do what needs to get done even if I don't want to. And so I think that definitely helps a lot with both classwork and training for Leadville.
Oh,
Because
sure.
there were many runs that I did not want to go on, and I was just like slogging the entire time. Didn't want to do it, but I did it, and
Well,
so
as we often say in training, sometimes it's just time on your feet. So even though
yep,
it's a slog, as long as you're out there, you are achieving some gains.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah. So give some other examples of how that planning mentality that you have played into how you prepared and executed Leadville.
Um, so one thing that I really focused on was my nutrition because when I did that 50 miler, I was only eating about 200 calories an hour, just not enough at
Right.
all.
Right.
Um, and so I was really focusing on that in all my runs that I was doing, uh, even short runs. I was practicing. I was trying to hit 300 to 400 calories an hour. Many times it did not go that well,
Right.
but just figuring things out, working on that. I had a very large spreadsheet for Leadville
Yeah.
where I had every food item that I was bringing. Um, and then I told my crew, I was like, okay, when I get into an aid station, you're going to take out all of my trash and you're going to see what I ate and you're going to copy and paste each food item into this log that I made
Oh,
that
wow.
gives you how many calories I'm eating per hour, how many grams of carbs, how much sodium I'm getting per hour. And then you can tell me how much I need to pick it up and fuel more. So that was super helpful for sure.
Wow.
Um,
I can learn something from you right here.
yeah. And then I was also like during runs and whatever, I mean, I think most people do this maybe, but the way I pass my time is I'll just do like calculations in my brain of like distance between points or like my pace that I need to get back by so and so time. Um, on that training run that I did for Hope Pass, I had a friend with me. We were camping in Leadville that night, and I told her, I said, okay, I'm going to be back by 5. And at that point, I did not know the beast of Hope Pass. And
Right.
so that was an underestimation. Um, and so I had to cut that run a little bit short. And the whole time I was like doing calculations in my head. And then I was like, okay, so during Leadville, this portion is probably going to take me this long at this pace. So then that gives me this much time to do the other sections, which was great and very helpful. And I ended up following that pretty closely.
Nope.
So
Okay, that's good.
yeah,
Yeah, no, my brain's kind of wired like yours. I was a math major in college, so
yeah.
like that time I was mentioning where, oh, here's Babe the cat here jumping up. When I was running in 2015 and I was so close to the cutoffs. I mean, I remember being at May Queen and I knew the course so well because that was my seventh time running the race. And, plus I'd been on that section many times in training as well. But I knew every single mile point and exactly what I had to run between them. And when I got to the bottom of the boulevard, I knew that if I got to the bottom of the boulevard with an hour before the cutoff, I could get in because I knew I could still do, 20 minutes for each of the second and third to last miles, then 15 minutes
Hmm.
on Sixth Street. And I got to the bottom of the boulevard at 58 minutes, and I'd built in 5 minutes of cushion. So there was 2 minutes, but I had 3 minutes of cushion there still, and I ended up finishing with 2 minutes to spare. So I pretty much hit it
Nice.
precisely. But yeah,
Yeah.
but people tell me, how do you figure out? I can't think of math stuff while I'm running. It's like, nope. I even in my horrible state I was in, I had figured out every single mile precisely what I needed to do.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
all I can think about is that.
right.
And then the music that's blasting in my ears as well.
Yeah. What are you listening to?
I listen to a lot of post-punk, so bands like Fame and Idols. If you haven't listened to them, you should definitely check them out. Those are fantastic bands. Um, but then I'll also listen to a ton of more like chill music. So like I listen to a ton of Pink Floyd when I run because it's just easy music. I listen to every single Pink Floyd album during Leadville.
You really?
um, yeah,
I would imagine, the mellower Pink Floyd songs are for along Turquoise Lake, and then the heavy punk stuff is for going up Power Line and such, right?
yeah, exactly. Um,
Nice.
so that was great. I love listening to music when I run. Um, Part of me thinks that why I'm so into running is because that gives me a space where I can just like listen to music alone and just
Uninterrupted,
like
right?
exactly, yeah, which is great.
Interesting. Hey, whatever works.
Yeah.
Wow, that's very cool. Oops, sorry. Babe is doing all these things on my lap here. So, um, where to from here? Oh, by the way, before I was just thinking, you were talking before, you really need to talk or meet or get to know Annie Hughes, who she's a, past winner of Leadville.
Okay.
She's one who she ran high school cross country and she ended up going to Western to run cross country and quit after a year because she just decided she'd rather just be up in the mountains and running. And she's become an absolute beast. I mean, not only did she win Leadville, she's won Cocodona and just all sorts of just amazing. I mean, she's such an accomplished runner.
Yeah.
She's such a energetic, positive, cheery person. I think she's only like 24, 25. I think she's 25.
Okay.
She ran up, she was living up in Leadville, or I think she still is. Um,
Okay.
her birthday's like in February, and she decided to run like 25 hours for her 25th birthday, or 24 hours and 24th birthday, something like that. And it
I
was
would have
just,
just done like 24 miles or
yeah,
something,
or
not
2400
hours.
something, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was really miserable. I know she's just like, her birthday just fell on a day where the weather was just horrible. And
Yeah.
she just suffered through that. But, that's kind of Annie for you. She, pushed herself
Yeah.
through it. But yeah, she also, like I say, she quit the cross country team at Western after a year. Just said, that's not for me. I'd just rather go run mountains. And she set the FKT for the Collegiate Peaks Loop. And, just that's the kind of thing she likes to do. So that's somebody
Yeah.
you really should get to know, I think.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
Yeah. But no, I was asking you, like, where to? Like, what do you think is in your future here as a runner?
I have no clue. Um, I I plan out my days and weeks very intensely, but I do not plan out my future at all.
Oh, really?
So I I have no clue where I'm gonna go from here. I'd love to one day run a UTMB, but that's a very big goal, and
Yeah,
that will be very far in the future.
sure. That means you got to run
If it
several
ends up
races.
happening.
Yeah.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, so I think for now, just using running as that outlet for me from school and having fun with it, having fun with the team, in the club that I'm on. And I know I'll come up with some other crazy idea soon, probably.
I'm
But
counting on that from you.
yeah, I think giving my bank account a rest might be nice from all the race entries and food purchases.
Ah, it's just aid station food. Doesn't cost that much.
I spent so much money on food for this race and like my training for it. It was crazy.
Yeah, people, they talk about the cost of races and they don't consider the fact that's just like a small fraction of it compared
Yep.
to thing from, lodging for your crew and, that kind of thing and all the training runs and gear and food, and et
Yep.
cetera. It is just a drop in the bucket. It is amazing how you have to really commit. You have
Yeah.
a lot of resources to it, not just committing your body and, time on your feet.
Yeah, it was a lot that went into it.
Right.
So I'm very glad that I succeeded.
Yeah, no, I guess as a broke college student, you just can't just throw it out there all the time. But
Yep.
I hope you're not just a one and done at Leadville.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
But I don't know when I'm gonna get the chance after the summer to come back to Colorado for for a while. So we'll see.
Well, you're planning on being out of the country or something, or
I mean, next summer I'm going to study abroad in Lithuania,
oh
which will be
wow,
fun. Yeah. And then after that I'll be living full time in California
right.
until I graduate.
Yeah. Study abroad in Lithuania is not one of your more common places. I mean,
No, it's
no, I think
not.
that's great. I mean, yeah, too many kids just go to, London, Paris, France kind of thing. And London,
Yep.
Paris, Rome, I should say. And
Yeah.
the other places you can go. So Lithuania, how did you end up choosing Lithuania?
Oh, that's just where our structural engineering program goes for study abroad. Um,
All right.
but I'm very happy about that choice because it's very cheap to go there,
Ah, no.
which is perfect for me.
No, and it's cool because from there you can branch off into a lot of other neighboring countries. Just don't go east,
Yeah.
I guess, but still, but you can go to, Estonia, Latvia, Finland, Poland, whatever from there. So
Yeah,
that would be awesome. Well, good for you.
definitely. Yeah, I'm excited for that.
Yeah. All right. Well, what have we missed here, Lauren?
I don't think anything, hopefully.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Lauren in a nutshell there.
Yep.
Um, yeah. What other advice would you give 18, almost 19-year-old runners in terms of, getting out there and, in terms of taking on challenges?
Um, Honestly, like just have confidence in yourself, which is something that I didn't have for a long time. But sign up for things you don't think you can do. Try, attempt hard things, and you'll surprise yourself. And I think I've grown a lot in this experience, and I've gained a lot of confidence, which is amazing. And so just go for it, even if you don't think you can do it. That's what I would say.
I love it. But what helped you flip the switch from not being confident to wanting to take on the challenge?
I honestly think my lack of confidence is what pushed me to
Yep.
take on Leadville.
Very cool.
Um, yeah, I wanted to do something that this sounds silly, but I wanted people to be proud of me,
Right.
which is why I signed up. And and coming out of it, I'm like, I don't care what other people think. I did this for myself, which isn't why I signed up, but it's what I left with. So
Yeah. Well, it's certainly a way to stand out, isn't it?
it is. Yeah.
Yeah. No, very cool. This will probably sound like a question off a list, but which is not the case. But do you look up to anybody in the ultra running world?
I cannot say that I do. Um, I I think my biggest inspiration, she's not very big in the ultra running community, but she is an influencer on like Instagram, which is where I found her. And she did the Javelina 100 and then she did Hard Rock. No, not Hard Rock. The other one. That's in Colorado. It's 100 miler
Well,
court. No. Oh, I
there's
forget what it's called. Yeah, it's a few.
I
She
mean,
did one of those
there's
other
Hard
ones.
Rock, there's Run Rabbit Run, there's Run on the Divide. I mean, there are a lot of them. Uray,
Oh, High Lonesome was that one.
Lonesome. Yep, that is a
Yes.
beast of one
Yes.
too. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Um, and so I've just been following her and I really look up to her. So I'd say that's my big one is Mac McKenna. She just got married, so it's now Reagan is her last name. But
Okay.
yeah, I really like her.
All right. Very cool. Just to let you know, I know you're new to this world, but it's not javelin, it's javelina.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Javelina.
Yep.
Good to know. Good to know.
Yep. Good race to do someday too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they call it the Javelina 100, and they spell 100 with a J also.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good to know.
There you go. Well, Lauren, where can people find you out there?
Like on Instagram and stuff.
Yeah, on social media or wherever.
I'm on Instagram. Not very active on it. It's just my name, I think, is my username.
Okay.
Lauryn Wojcik. That is the only social media that I
Yeah.
use.
Are you out there in Strava, anything like that?
Oh, Strava. Yeah, follow me on Strava. I don't know what my username is,
Okay.
but if you look up my name,
Yeah, I
there
was gonna
aren't
say
really any other Lauren Wojiks out there.
I'll do
So,
the work for people. I'll look it up and I'll put it in the show notes.
yeah.
All right. Well, good. Well, um, yeah, I know you want to get to a birthday dinner, even though it's a couple days away. I'll let you go get
Yeah.
that. But this has been such a pleasure. You're just an awesome young woman, and
Thank you.
the whole story just cracks me up, though. How you have had never run more than a 6K race before, and
Yeah.
I mean, when I ran Leadville the first time, I'll admit I'd run the Pikes Peak Marathon, I think three
Okay.
times. And it's obviously it was actually back then it was longer than a marathon. They've actually shortened it, but even so, you'd run, what was it, 5.5, 6 hours or something.
Yeah.
So it was more than your average marathon, but that was the longest I'd ever run before I ran
Yeah.
lead first time. So it is possible to make that stupid jump, but I didn't come all the way from 6K, so that's just
Yeah.
rather incredible. But like I say, really appreciate getting to chat with you. We may have crossed paths at a aid station somewhere in Leadville.
Yeah,
We actually probably
probably.
crossed paths before. Was I've been the a track official at the Liberty Bell track meet the last several years. Or in
Yep.
other meets, I probably was an official, one of those guys wearing the I call it the human highlighter colors out there.
Yep.
Either firing a gun or whatever. So we probably crossed paths there somewhere, but
Probably. Yeah.
we see each other on a race course or something somewhere in the future.
Yep. Hopefully.
All right. Well, hey, thank you again, Lord.
Awesome.
Happy birthday coming up here. This will actually
Thank
come
you.
after your birthday, but even so, happy number 19.
Yep. Thank you so much for having me too.
You bet. Thanks again.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let me kill this.